report should have been released only to the parents.
Instead of putting it in complete under public
Yeah.
scrutiny, as it were.
Yeah, because everybody can. I don't know. Some people are just saying, oh, if you did not at some point think that there was speed involved, I can't help you. I have a plot of land on the moon to sell you, but I'm not sure that they should have put it out there because now it's just it's kind of taking away from the shortness of the life of the people involved. I don't think they should have done that, but having said that, let's move on to other stories. What's happening again? Oh, the FIFA Club World Cup. Whether Nicholas Jackson is going to have to get a seat belt or a chain or gum.
Or both.
We don't know yet. Or both. we don't know yet. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the Falcons of Nigeria and what's happening in Morocco because that continues today. All of that and more inside the locker room this morning. But before we do any more talking, Ayokunmi, tell us, how can we be a part of the locker room today?
Right, Tega, thank you for asking. Finally, I was waiting for when that question would actually come. The WhatsApp number is 0809-444-0981. That is one way to keep up with us. You can also join the YouTube live stream. We're at Smooth 981 FM Lagos, Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Get your front row seat and leave your comments in the chat box right there. All right, Tega, you talked about the Wafcon, and that is where we're going to pitch our tent to start with this morning. And we'll talk about the hostesses, I guess, Morocco, since it's Wafcon. Having escaped with a point from their opening game, the hosts will be looking to assert themselves in their second game of the tournament, which will come up later on today. They take on DRC.
Yes, I think they take on, let me call that the weak team in the group. And I'm using that term weak in comparison to everybody else in the group.
Duly noted.
That's where we are. This is not that they are the weak team. I mean, they made it to the tournament, so they beat some other teams to get there. It's not easy to get there, but they've been away from the tournament for so long, and then they were given not so good a welcome party by Senegal. It wasn't a good welcome party, and it was not just the number of goals; it was the manner of goals. There was one that they put the ball over the head of the goalkeeper. They locked the goalkeeper. They locked the goalkeeper to get that ball in the back of the net. So it wasn't a pretty display by the DRC in the first match. But I think they're going to be a lot more, I would say, cautious. That one that the keeper kept running out. Maybe she thought she was Manuel Neuer. I don't understand what was happening in that first match, but I think she's going to be a lot more cautious. They're going to sit a lot more deeper, recognizing that Morocco played in the finals of the last Women's African Cup of Nations,
Yeah.
recognizing that Morocco's football has been on the rise, recognizing that they're playing against the host. I understand that they're going to sit a lot more deeper. They won't be as open as they were against Senegal. But it makes the work of Morocco well cut out for them. Because remember, it's only the top two teams in the group that can go through. And
That's
so
right.
you have to think of it. They are in the same group with Zambia, who is on the same number of points with them, 1 point, and with Senegal, who already have 3 points and 4 goals to their name. So it's going to be a tough task. So Morocco is going to have to sit up. Vilda was speaking about it yesterday, how they're going to have to play a lot differently. I like the way they play their football. Even before he came, you could see the kind of football they try to play, where they one-touch passes, moving the ball around and then almost walking it into the back of the net. But in Africa, you have to add a little bit of athleticism and physicality. And I
Yes,
think
indeed.
that's what made Tagnot to be missing in the first game, because Tagnot is a player that needs to express herself, needs space. But the Zambians were all over her like rash. And so we didn't have the opportunity to see to see what Tagnot could really do on the ball. Um, so I think the coach would have taken into cognizance that, look, we're playing the African Cup of Nations, so physicality will be needed. And he has to take that into cognizance as he plans. But yes, they're a good team. They just don't match up sometimes physically with other teams, and that's what they're going to have to improve upon playing in the AFCON. So we wait to see how Morocco will step up this game, because the first game they were almost beaten by Zambians. I think the Zambians were unfortunate to walk away from that match with a draw. So this game, I don't think they'll take it for granted. However, Congo will be a lot more cautious. So let's see how that those matches are today. Senegal versus Zambia, Morocco versus DRC. Let's see how it pans out in that group.
Yes, indeed. And not to be a prophet of doom here, the DRC have only one win in their last 12 matches. So
It's not looking. It's not looking
eh,
good.
make of that what you
The
will.
question is. The question is by how many goals?
Excuse me. Tega, let me not even. Anyway, still talking about the Wafcon. Let's talk about some other teams. Senegal, Nigeria, they've impressed. Bayana too strong for Ghana as well. Day one of the tournament wrapped up on Monday evening. Some notable performances in the first six fixtures, beg your pardon, coming from Senegal and Nigeria. South Africa also doing the business. How is it looking so far, Tega?
All right, so it is fantastic. Yes, the strong ones are stepping up. You know how it is when the cream will rise to the top at the tournament. For qualifying, because players are just arriving from their club, a lot of countries do not prepare well for their women's football team. So some people may just be getting off the plane and going to the pitch. So anything can happen in qualifying. But during the proper tournament is when the cream rises to the top, and that's what it has been.
True.
Ghana stepped on the pitch against South Africa. I was stunned that the scoreline remained 2-0, because the football that Ghana played, I cannot explain it. It was not mathematical, it was not scientific. I don't know how they survived 45 minutes without conceding a goal, but it was not a good display. And remember, they switched coaches last minute, because they used to have Zambia's coach. Zambia's coach was the coach that qualified Ghana to this tournament. And then for
Mm,
some reason, there was a miscommunication with the Ghanaian FA and the woman. That's what I'm calling it, miscommunication, because Nigeria and Ghana, no difference. There's a reason why we are always fighting each other. So let's call it miscommunication. So there was a
okay.
miscommunication between the FA and and Nora. And so by the time the miscommunication was over, Nora had packed her bags and said, you know what, you're not serious, I'm going to Zambia. And so they were left to pick this coach last minute. So if whatever football you see from Ghana, just understand that it was makeshift, it was quickly done. So it may not be
Mm.
as well cooked as other teams. But I'm
Concoction
surprised that
football.
I'm surprised they're able to make it through the second half against Bayana. But you have to also remember that Bayana came here without their star player. They're also a team that put together their team haphazardly. Remember, they also had that sit out where they refused to go for training because they're waiting for payments that their own federation was owing them. So I guess maybe that's why they didn't score more goals in the second half. But still, South Africa showed that they were one of the teams that were contending. Senegal already with their 4 goals against Cote d'Ivoire, against Congo, showed that they're a team for contention. But the Super Falcons of Nigeria, not a very organized first half, but they did manage to score 3 goals, albeit one of those goals cancelled in the first half. But the second half was a little better. So we wait to see how Nigeria will perform against Botswana. That match comes up tomorrow evening. That's the second match on Thursday. So the Super Falcons are taking on Botswana in the second match. Like I said, the real problem for the Super Falcons of Nigeria would not be in the group stage, at least if you're looking at all the teams on paper.
Mm.
Nigeria should easily beat Tunisia, Algeria, Botswana. It's when we get to the knockout stages that you start to question if the Super Falcons have the mettle to take on some of the strong contenders in the tournament. But against Botswana, I expect it to be 3 points and a couple of goals. Um, I don't. The Super Falcons or like the Super Eagles don't break my heart easily. So I think they will go out there and get all 3 points. But I think they should approach the game preparing for the knockout stage in mind. Don't think about it that, we can beat Botswana. Just prepare for the knockout stage in mind.
Right. I mean, Beating Botswana would be a huge step on the road to Mission X, as it has been called. Looking forward to that game coming up tomorrow. All right, Tega, let's switch gears quickly and head into the world of tennis. Of course, talking about Wimbledon. Two-time defending champion Carlos Alcaraz produced a Wimbledon masterclass to end British hope Cameron Norrie's run and move into the semifinals once again.
Yeah, it was a masterclass, and it was a masterclass. It almost looked like training at some point. There was no way, if you've watched both players, that you thought Cam Norrie would have been able to stand against Carlos Alcaraz. But Cam Norrie himself had outperformed his usual performances to get into the quarterfinals in the first place. So you understand, you know how the Brits are. Once you do something good, they will now label you savior of the world. So they had hyped him up. He had hyped himself up that he was going to come against Carlos Alcaraz. And then because Carlos Alcaraz sometimes can be inconsistent in matches, he probably thought he'd get a chance or two. Yesterday was not the day. Carlos Alcaraz was clinical on the day, finished. I think part of the reason the match was elongated was all the time in between they were using to pick their towels and wipe their faces. If not, that match should have finished in 1 hour, 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That's how long it should have lasted. So it was quick walk by Carlos Alcaraz. On the other hand, though, Yannick Sinner, the world number one, didn't have such a great time. In fact, I can almost guarantee that if Grigor Dimitrov did not pick up an injury in that match, Yannick Sinner would have been at home by now. Because he was
Huh.
he was 2 sets to love down and 2 games all in the third set when Dimitrov served and then shouted, my pec, my pec. His pectoral muscles. In case you don't know, that's what they call the chest
Ouch.
muscles. So and the way he dropped his racket and grabbed his chest. You knew that it was over. Of course, the medics came out. They did some tests. By the time the medics came out, I saw, the camera came close up to Dimitrov. I saw tears drop out of the corner of his eyes. I was like, this match is over. He's not coming back. But they tried, they took him in, they did some checks. By the time he walked out, he just walked out to give up the match. In fact, he couldn't even lift his hand to shake the umpire. He had to assist his shaking hand with his other hand.
That's how bad it was.
That's how bad it was. But also we are now hearing that Yannick Sinner was playing with an injury in that match, and he had to do an MRI scan yesterday. We've not heard the results of the MRI scan, and he cancelled his training yesterday, so it's not even looking good for Yannick Sinner. So at the end of the day, we may have a Djokovic in the final because Yannick Sinner is on his path. Because I don't think that Koboli can stop Djokovic today. That's the one I don't think will happen. The only person that could have stopped Djokovic from getting to the final is Yannick Sinner. But if he's having an MRI on his elbow and he's cancelling his training, then he's not 100% fit. And if he's not 100% fit, he's definitely losing to Novak Djokovic. So let's see how it pans out.
Let's see how that pans out. Things are heating up at the All England Club. Let's take a break right now. When we come back in, we'll talk about the Club World Cup and Chelsea doing the business. LK and Co. This is where you get to come out and share your thoughts. We'll be back on the other side. Locker Room on Smooth 98.1.
I see what you did there. Tell Kadir, welcome and brag.
Yes, so let me even see. Is he on YouTube yet? No, he's not. Uche Naoke is on YouTube. LK is not on YouTube. I'm actually surprised.
LK is dull, After he put one match yesterday, you should be the first person on YouTube.
So wait, Chelsea want to win Club World Cup. Oh, wow. What's going on?
My darling. And they had a good draw, if you may add.
Yeah, to be honest on that side. But hey, they still had to do the job.
Yeah, they still have to beat the team in front of them.
But Chelsea or Madrid? Sorry, PSG or Madrid? Man.
That's the one we have to watch out for today.
You go tough. You go tough.
You go really tough.
Is it one true? Mbappe is facing PSG.
Yes, that's why he's all over the news.
Okay. It just clicked in my head that he's finally facing them. Okay, let's see how it pans out.
Let's see how it goes. If he wants to win the Club World Cup, he has to beat them.
He has to beat them. But then, Can this Madrid then beat Chelsea? I don't know.
Anybody on that side can beat Chelsea.
Uh,
Anybody on that side. If Fluminense had any cojones, they would have beaten Chelsea yesterday. Look at Sanchez, what Sanchez was doing there. Darling, like anybody on that side can beat Chelsea. That one I can. This Madrid, this PSG, they'll beat Chelsea. Which Chelsea? The Chelsea that we saw yesterday, I'll be another one.
Chelsea they ought to. Joao Pedro is balling
That
now,
was
scoring goals. So.
when Joao Pedro finish, will he defend?
They have
When
to
it's
see in
company,
defense now. They have to see in defense. They have Correa. They have Correa
I
now.
mean, they have to see call to see me. When he
Uh,
finish, will he defend? May carry for come up for them as zero. People that will still lose against Aston Villa. Anyways. My
uh,
goodness, Tega, you're terrible.
season will soon start.
This holiday is long, though. I mean, this break is long.
No, it's virtually done about 10 seconds.
Okay, all
And we
right.
shall be back. Welcome back into the locker room on a hump of the week, Wednesday morning. This is Smooth 98.1 Love Music, Love Live, 35 minutes past 8 a.m. You're tuned into the best sporting show on radio. Yes, I guarantee you, this is the locker room once again. Ayokunmi here. Tega also in with me. We are taking a look at the big stories making the rounds. You also get to share the stage with us. So please share your messages on WhatsApp and on YouTube. Now, WhatsApp, the number is 0809 444 0981. On YouTube, get that front row seat, as I always say. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments in the chat box there. Definitely, I'll be taking them as we get along on the
Okay,
show.
can we take one message from YouTube to just
Okay.
start the segment?
This is Uchina Okoye, who says, kudos to Chelsea for making it to the finals. Who will join them? It will be a mouth-watering affair today, most
All right,
definitely.
and speaking of that, let's just go straight to the Chelsea story.
That's correct. New signing, Joao Pedro scored twice on his first start as Chelsea eased to a 2-0 win over Fluminense on Tuesday to seal a spot in the final of the Club World Cup.
Let me tell you, as soon as he scored that goal, I started looking at Jackson's agent with side eye. Like, guy, you didn't try, you didn't try, you should have done something. As he scored the first goal, because that first goal it was beautiful. It was the corner he took it from, it was the angle, it was the fact that he heightened the goalkeeper and the ball got into the back of the net. I was like, that's a striker's goal. Jackson, you will not see him playing time. But then after he scored his second goal, Maresca decided that he will use that one as motivation to test Jackson. He now threw Jackson on, and true to type,
True
Jackson
to type.
Jackson did not do anything. Very again. So the first ball that fell to Jackson, he was one-on-one with the defender. He couldn't even beat the defender, and that was how Pedro scored his second goal. If you remember, the ball came to Yao. He ran at the second defender and then shot the ball into the back of the net. Jackson could not even get control of the ball, not talk of control of the defender. And so it just showed the difference in class between the two players, if I could use that. And so that's going to be a tough season for Jackson. But for Chelsea, fantastic one. As much as you want to say that they got a favorable draw all through the tournament, the truth is that you have to beat the team in front of you.
Very true.
Manchester City did not beat Al Hilal. So at the end of the day, you cannot blame Chelsea for getting to the final. So here they are in the final, awaiting the winner of the match that will take place tonight, Real Madrid or PSG. And let's just quickly run into that story.
Let's quickly run into that story, talking about PSG and Real Madrid. And I mean, as if PSG meeting old friend Lionel Messi in the FIFA Club World Cup wasn't fortuitous enough. Now, European champions are in line to face a former star who left Paris on, let's say, much uglier terms. We're talking about Kylian Mbappe here. It's going to be hot, Tech. It's going to be
Yes.
hot.
Yes, because that PSG gave him the keys to the city, and he said, "I'm still going to Real Madrid." And then when he left was when they won everything that they've been looking for under him, the UEFA Champions League, and now they want to win the Club World Cup with him in it. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be double motivation for Mbappe. Now he hasn't been starting because remember he was very ill before
Mm.
the FIFA World Cup, FIFA Club World
Club
Cup,
World Cup.
and so he couldn't start the Club World Cup with them. But he's been featuring in the second halves of the last two matches, and he scored goals. Remember the overhead kick in the last match to show that he's still back. Now the question is, will Alonso continue with Garcia up front first, and then bring Mbappe on as a substitute, or will he say this is a big match? We are playing against PSG. Um, and then Mbappe even has extra motivation. Let me start him first because I'll be switching it up a little bit. So those are the questions we need to find out. First of all, is Mbappe will also start Mbappe, seeing that it's a bigger opposition, or will he go on with the status quo and then bring him on later? I think that's the only question that needs to be answered. But I've said it. This Real Madrid looks a little bit like a team that is now playing without their handbrakes on. So
Mm.
almost as if they've been released to go out and do what they know how to do first. There's a lot more pace from the midfield going forward. The defense is still vulnerable. They let in one or two goals, especially against Dortmund. They had to get a final save, a last-ditch save from Thibaut Courtois to make it to the final. So they're still vulnerable defensively, and I think that's where PSG can pick them off because once PSG has one of those their quick breaks, with either one of their fast runners, whether it's Dembele, whether it's Dewey, whether it's Bakola, once they have those their fast breaks, I think they can get behind the Real Madrid defense and get a goal or two. The question is, can Real Madrid's attack outscore PSG's defense to outscore PSG's attack today? I think that's the question that will be answered because this is about conceding goals. Both teams kind of give up away a goal or two. Real Madrid more than PSG, but
Mm.
can you outscore your opponent? I think that's the question Alonso has to answer today. So it's an interesting one, and whichever team wins gets to meet Chelsea in the final. So let's see how it goes for them. If you ask me, PSG and Real Madrid is the toughest opposition either team will face at this tournament. I think that both of them can take on Chelsea comfortably. But the question is, which of them can defeat the other to get to that
Exactly.
final? Yeah.
Exactly. And at 8 p.m. Nigerian time, we'll find out, or we'll begin to find out exactly how it's going to pan out. All right, let's still stay in the world of football and let's talk about the women's Euros, where England will need to be fearless in their crucial Group D match against the Netherlands at the Euros on Wednesday, said striker Alicia Russo, who insisted the
Yes.
team's confidence had not wavered since the 2-1 loss to France in their opener.
That's what they say. They say their confidence haven't wavered, but people have a lot of questions, especially like I said, it was not the result, it was the performance that was it. And the French could have been out of sight if they had been a lot more clinical. So at the end of the day, ultimately, it came down to England having a few uh, good moments in the last maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and they were able to get that goal and almost get the equalizer. So I think they will take any lessons they learned from the last 10 minutes of that match and get into this game because they have to win this game because if they lose, they're out. There's no
Yeah,
title defense anymore. You lost your first match, you lost the second match against Netherlands. They'd only be playing for um what's it called now? For
pride.
name against for pride against the Welsh in the last match. So it is important that they step up against the Dutch, who are a fantastic team, and play there. Now, on the other hand, there are other things going on with the Dutch and the English team because some people have partners in the other team. So in the Dutch, yes.
I saw that
So
story.
yes, I was like, they will drop that partnership if people are going to break up at the end of these matches in Jesus' name. That's what's going to happen.
uh, uh, Is it
Because
that
when you
deep?
get on when you get on the pitch and you defeat your opponent, it's time to quarrel in the house. They're going to
Ah,
break up at the end of this match. But yes, there's the opposition there. So I think Medema, she used to play for Arsenal before. She does have a partner on the English side. And Medema is the if you're looking at the star players in the Dutch team, you cannot call star players without calling Vivienne Medema. So she's going to be one of the people that will be damaging to the English forward. That's why I said she will break up at the end of this match, because if she scores and she sends England out, she cannot visit her in-laws. Relationship over is that deep. It's national side, it's not club side. All right. So there's going to be that. So all of that happening in this fixture, and it's important for England. They need to win to stay in the tournament. If they lose, they're out.
if they lose, they're out. The stakes are much too high in that regard. Alrighty, Tega, do we have time to just get a quick word in on the Gold Cup final?
Oh yes, that the US lost to Mexico and they're looking for penalty that wasn't. Um, but yes, Pochettino has gone to the USA and the difference has not been made. Look, granted, if you're talking football, the Mexicans have it over the US. Because in Mexico, at least football is still their main thing. They even still call it football, unlike America that calls it soccer. That's half of the problem. But to host the Gold Cup and consistently lose to Mexico is becoming a thing. So they brought in Pochettino, paid him a lot of money. I think if you're counting some of the highest paid national team coaches in the world, you must count Pochettino amongst them. But he goes there and he loses to Mexico again in the final. Not looking good, especially as they are preparing for the World Cup
The
in
World Cup next year.
2026. Not
Yeah,
a very good preparation. So it's a tough one, but there's not much I can do. A lot of people have always started to say that they should fire Pochettino. And the question is, who is going to go to the US now? Most of
big
the good
question.
coaches are taken. Most of the good coaches are gone. All right. On that note, let's take some messages.
All right, let me take your messages real quick here. This is okay. This says, but wait, so how Chelsea take reach final? Wow, so lucky to get there by beating low-rated teams all through the tournament. I pray for you listeners this morning. The luck that favors Chelsea all through the tournament shall locate you today. Amen. Okay, thank you
Wow,
very
if we have bad belly, like I said, Man
much.
City couldn't beat Al Hilal, so we can't blame Chelsea for getting to the final against what you call lower rated teams.
Well, I mean, they had to beat them. So at the end of the day, they didn't
Exactly.
just walk through. Ayafeda says, fantastic performance from Yao Pedro and Chelsea last night at the CWC. I'm sure people like LK Adroba on YouTube will be very happy right now. Ironically, LK, I haven't seen LK on YouTube. I wonder what
He's
he's
still
doing.
partying. He's still partying.
Oh, okay. He says, however, I stand with Nicholas Jackson. In my own opinion, he still remains one of Chelsea's most important players, and all the criticism against him is unjust. With what he does on the pitch, okay, well, all right. Let me see. Larry from the abroad says Chelsea have already made 80 million from this tournament, and JP was bought for 60 million. So accounts don't already balance. Finally, Jackson's view done declare for Maresca. Aye, that guy was never Chelsea quality, but his Babalawo really don't, because for 2 seasons and 4 windows, no one could replace him. Thanksgiving this Sunday. You people, eh? And this is okay. Who's talking to us here? Real Madrid and Alonso do not have the luxury of resting any player because they aren't playing Leicester City. They're playing against a team who beat Bayern with 9 men. Hmm. Okay. Let me go
That's
to
talking about
YouTube.
Mbappe.
Right. Let me go to YouTube. Uchina Wokoye says, curious. Okay, I've taken that one. Padre Pio says, Chelsea was just lucky, I beg. Against Madrid or PSG, it's not going to happen. And then Nambi Okereke says, if it was the Madrid of Ancelotti, I would have been bothered. But with this Xavi's Madrid, I am confident of Madrid getting past PSG. Well, we'll find out later tonight, definitely. All right.
All right. On that note, I want to thank you for sending your messages via WhatsApp, for streaming on YouTube and sending your messages there too, and for tuning into Smooth 98.1 FM to listen to the locker room. Till I come your way again on Friday,
Friday.
when Real Madrid and PSG would have played, and Nigeria would also have played.
Hmm.
Continue to have a great week.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Tega, so very much. Continue to have a great week as well. Looking forward to having you on Friday. Thank you for being a part of the locker room. We appreciate you taking out the time every single time. But don't go anywhere. The fun never stops. The Smooth Breakfast will kick on 9 o'clock. A conversation talking about the admission cutoff marks. Yes, we'll continue that discussion from where we started on Freshly Pressed. So 9 o'clock, do keep it locked. Smooth 98.1.